Hey, what's up guys? Jackson here at Toasty DIY, and today it is a beautiful day and we're reviewing two Best Buy scooters. You can get them from other retailers too, but we have the brand Niu and then we have the brand HiBoy. And it's gonna be a pretty fun review that I got a lot of notes written down here for full side-by-side comparison, and we're going to do some POV riding and talking about these scooters. Let's go ahead and get into it. All right guys, so we have two scooters in front of us. We have this one here, which I think is pronounced Niu, but it also could just be NIU. And then we also have the HiBoy. This is the KS4 Pro. This right here is the, I believe it's the KQI3 Pro. They both have Pro in the name. This one right here is $469.99 at Best Buy. This one is about $399, so $400 versus $470. And, you know, basically my buddy and I, Tyler, shout out TV the Greek, we went to Best Buy. We both were ready to buy a scooter. They kind of had one of each, so we basically rock, paper, scissored for who got the more expensive one, and, well, I lost, so I get the more expensive scooter. We both have done a couple of minor mods. They come completely stock like this. Tyler has added a little bike lock, so just try to, you know, ignore that. And then try to ignore the part that I added, which is a Schrader pump. And I'll show you why I added a little portable bike pump in a minute here. But yeah, they're honestly pretty similar scooters. Like, there's nothing crazy different about them, but I do have a full spec list that I made, and I'll show you guys on screen as well. But it's a full spreadsheet where I really went through and got all like the key details. But let's go ahead and start going over them. So we'll go from the cheaper one. So the cheaper one, top speed 19 mile an hour, and then the Niu, we're looking at 20. So just a 1 mile per hour difference, nothing crazy, you probably will barely feel it. Now the range is fairly significant. So in this scooter, we got 25 miles, which honestly is really far. I mean, let's be honest, it's an electric scooter, that's pretty crazy. But this one is 31, so this one has 6 more mile range, which that's pretty impressive. And I think that has something to do with the wattage possibly. Now the weight, this one takes the cake. This one is 40.6 pounds. This one, the Niu, is 44.8 pounds. So, you know, you are getting almost an extra 5 pounds. I guess it's about an extra 4 pounds on the Niu scooter. I don't really know if you feel that big of a difference because we're talking about basically 40 versus 45 pounds. You're already having to lift a good amount of weight. So you need to be, I would say, a little bit in shape to lift these scooters up. They both fold down. You can see the mechanisms on the front of each one. They both fold down pretty nicely. I will say, I think this one overall has a larger footprint. You can definitely tell the deck area is much wider. So because of that, this one's a little bit harder to fold and put inside of a vehicle, but they're both really easy to fold down. It's just this one I think has a little more, needs a little more space basically. Now in terms of the height, width, and length, and this is not folded, we're looking at 48.2 inches tall on the HiBoy. And on the Niu, we're looking at 47.32, so about the same height. They're both about 48 inches. Width, this one right here is 16.5 inches of width, so if you were to try to squeeze through a tight space, this one's a good amount larger. We're looking at 21.32 on the Niu, so almost an extra, like about 5 inches of extra width on this. So basically just think of it as like an extra 2.5 inches on each side. So it's not like it's insane, but that is a difference. Now, this scooter is a little bit shorter overall. This one is 45.3, this one's 46.18. So we're not even talking about 1 inch of difference in terms of length. Now they both can carry 220 pounds of weight capacity. That basically includes the person and like cargo, if you have any. Neither one of them really have true suspension. Now that is something I'm going to get into in a minute, is this scooter here has pneumatic tires, this one has solid tires. So there is going to be some advantages and disadvantages there. Now in terms of the motor nominal power, which that's basically you know, how long the motor can run with a sustained throttle. So if I was just to hold the throttle down, how many watts can it run without burning something up? You'll notice the HiBoy actually can do 500 watts versus 350 watts. Now, it doesn't really seem to affect speed or torque or anything like that, because clearly the Niu is slightly faster and it has more range, so that may be thanks to lesser wattage. And then for the max motor draw, we're looking at 750 on the HiBoy and 700 on the Niu, but they both take about 6 hours to charge. The HiBoy is a 36-volt lithium-ion battery, and the Niu is a 48-volt lithium-ion battery. The front wheels on the HiBoy are 10 inches, and so are the rear. So 10 inches and 10 inches, they're both solid tires, so there's no air that needs to go in them. You never need to service them unless they literally break or the rubber starts to come off, which will probably take a long time. Now, on the new scooter, about the same tire size, they're 9.5 and 9.5, which I will say, pneumatic tires, so you do have to blow them up. They do actually have a standard like car Schrader valve, so that may be a deal breaker for some people, but I'll get in a minute why that's a good thing for some people. Now, this scooter only has brakes on the rear. It is disc brake, which is cool. So, you know, fairly modern. They're both mechanical disc brake, meaning they don't use, you know, like a hydraulic brake fluid. So here's our rear disc brake. It's a pretty good setup. We're looking at disc in the front and the rear. So front and rear disc, they're both like a drilled style disc for the actual, like the rotor. All right, guys, we're gonna take the HiBoy out for a spin. Now, this one's not my scooter, so it might take me honestly, it's not gonna take a second to get used to. It's a scooter, easy enough, but yeah, I mean, hey, she feels real good. So you definitely feel some of the bumps. You can probably hear it in my voice, like the but it's a pretty smooth ride, even though it does have the solid tires, especially if you're on like decent road like this or sidewalk. But I can definitely tell that, you know, going over, you know, areas like that where you can definitely feel it, it's not bad. You know, you definitely, depending on your level of tolerance, I guess. I gotta say though, it's pretty quick. Now, throttle response is pretty instantaneous. I will say, and we'll find out once I ride the new scooter, I do think that the new has a little more torque to it. Let me really hammer. Yeah, so when I hammer this throttle down, it's quick, but I think the new definitely has more get up and go to it, which is kind of interesting, is this one, you know, shows more wattage overall. But hey, nonetheless though, it's quick enough. We'll get on a straightaway here in a minute, but going up hills, it doesn't really bog down super bad. It's gonna be something all scooters, unless you maybe spend like, I don't know, a thousand plus. I think any scooter is gonna have some bog down when you go up a hill, but this one's not bad at all. Fairly impressive, I gotta say. All right, we got a straightaway here. So let's see if we can hit that 19 miles an hour. There's 17, 18, come on, 19, there we go. See how we got 19 miles an hour on a flat surface, not even going downhill? Man, when you hit 19 and you're going over bumps though, like especially like the real little bumps, man, you can feel them. Let's see, try to hit a little larger bump here. That's pretty big, all right. Oh, yep. Hey, you definitely feel the bumps, but it's not bad. It handles really nicely too. I mean, this one just feels, it feels light and nimble. The smaller deck, I kind of like, you know, that's the one thing with the new scooter, is the deck is pretty large. Like it's a really good sized scooter. Like my feet, I can fit both of them on this, but if I go totally sideways, I don't know if you guys can even see this, my feet do kind of hang off. I think on the new scooter, I don't even know if they'll hang off, honestly. All right, we're gonna zoom around the front here. Yeah, this thing handles super nice. And I gotta say that the rear brake, I know I mentioned earlier, I really do think it's all we need. I really don't feel like I need a front brake on it. You know, it's nice having two brakes, I guess, if you need to stop like in an instant, but I think the rear brake, I mean, yeah, that was me barely, like I was not trying to stop super fast. So I think the rear brake is honestly plenty. I guess in theory it'll wear out a little quicker since, you know, instead of having the option to brake with two, you only brake with one, which honestly, you know, I ride motorcycles and dirt bikes and whatnot. I've always done stuff like this. I'm really good at using both brakes. I'm willing to bet though a lot of people, and even with motorcycle riders, I know it's kind of common, a lot of them only use one brake most of the time. Like a lot of motorcycle riders only use their front brake. I'm a religious both brake kind of person. I mean, sometimes I'll use one or the other, but most of the time I'm using both. But yeah, guys, this scooter, a breeze to ride. It's a joy. Like I said, a little bumpy. We'll see if the new is as good as I remember. Going over bumps, we'll see how much different it is, but it's not bad. You know, it's definitely manageable. It's definitely better than my Niu scooter, I'll tell you that much. Now the lock features on both scooters work pretty well. It's definitely not going to make it to where it's unstealable. So Tyler having the bike lock on there is definitely a good idea, but it does make it to where like the wheels kind of lock up to an extent. And it's not very easy to move these scooters, you know, if you can't. Well, sorry, I'm phrasing this wrong. You definitely can move them while they're locked. It's just kind of a theft deterrent, especially if it's like maybe an older person or a younger person trying to steal it. You know, they are 40 plus pounds. So you're not gonna, unless you got a vehicle, like a getaway vehicle, and it's gonna take them a second to figure out that it's locked too, I'd be willing to bet. So this scooter, like I said, guys, I mean, it's pretty smooth. Like, it's actually crazy the difference pneumatic tires make. Like I said, it is at the cost of maintenance, so that is something you have to be willing to accept. You gotta be prepared for flats and stuff, you know, that it may happen and you could be kind of stuck. Because if you do get a flat, you know, this thing does not ride very well. I actually tried kind of riding it in the warehouse before I blew the tires up because I didn't really think about it. And it doesn't ride super great. But man, these pneumatic tires, like going over like little bumps and stuff, you definitely feel them a lot less. I will say this one too, just, I think it's a little more responsive. I can definitely feel that it has more torque. Like now that I'm comparing the two side by side and I just rode the HiBoy, the new scooter definitely has more torque to it. It gets up and goes a little quicker. Let's see if we can hit that. Oh, yeah, we already hit 20. There's 21. So we're on that flat surface, 21 miles an hour. Not bad. Going over the same bumps as before. I'm trying to take the same path. I mean, hey, it doesn't get rid of the bumps, by the way. You definitely still feel them. I want to make that known. We're gonna hit this one little bump again. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you definitely still feel it. Here's me mashing down the throttle, by the way. So a little bit of an uphill. Now, the wider deck, I'm gonna see if I can get the camera angled again. You can kind of see the wider deck. My feet almost fit on the whole thing. I think the deck on this one feels a little more, I almost just want to say like solid. And like, it's like solid, but like somewhat cushioned because of those pneumatic tires. Yeah, this thing just has no struggle. Now, I have the regenerative braking setting set to low right now. So whenever I let off the throttle, after about maybe like half a second to a second, you can definitely feel it kick in. Like this thing doesn't really just coast. It does to an extent, but like if you look how fast I'm slowing down. And the slower it goes, the more you can feel it. So we're almost going to a standstill there. But the regenerative braking, it's a cool little feature. That's pretty cool. And like I said, this one I think has a little bit better night rideability just because I think that the brake light and the headlight are a good amount brighter personally. But it's definitely not like, you know, deal breaker level where like, I mean, I guess if you're only gonna be riding a scooter at night mainly, it might be kind of a good idea to get the one with the brighter headlight or maybe upgrade the other one's headlight, I don't know. But at that point, you know, you saved 70 bucks, but was it worth it if you have to upgrade stuff? Yeah, this thing's quick. I mean, they're both fast scooters, but this one with that extra 1 mile an hour and I think a little more torque, you definitely feel the difference. Well, all right, guys. Well, this was a pretty long video, but I hope that it helps you guys make your decision when you're going to Best Buy or maybe even some other stores that carry these. I'm sure Walmart and somewhere else has them as well, and you can definitely get both of these online. I will have affiliate links down below if anyone wants to support Toasty DIY. You know, hopefully I helped you today. So if you click on either of those links and you buy one of these scooters, it gives us a little bit of kickback. So, and it doesn't cost you anything. So feel free to do that. Appreciate it. But the moral of the story: which one should you buy? I definitely think it just comes down to preference. Like there's not like just some clear winner because you are saving $70 with the HiBoy. So if you're on a budget and you don't really care a ton about the tech specs, guys, the HiBoy is almost the exact same as the new scooter in my opinion. So just buy the HiBoy, especially if that's the one you have in stock at your local store. Now, if you're looking for like a couple extra features, if you just hate the idea of having the kickoff part, which I really liked the idea of not having to kick off. I liked being able to go from a standstill to moving. That was a selling point for me, so it was worth the extra 70 bucks. We also have disc brake in the front and rear. That's worth a little bit of money. And then of course the regenerative braking and the overall a little bit more distance and 1 mile an hour faster. I think overall for 70 bucks, I think I got my money's worth, but I also think both of these are phenomenal choices in the $400 to $500 range. I definitely think compared to like Segway's option and some of the other like name brands, this is definitely the way to go. You know what I mean? Just go with like the $400 like lesser known brands, which at this point these have both become pretty name brands. But when they first started selling these at like Best Buy and stuff, you know, they're both pretty Chinese scooters. Like they're not super well known here, but in my opinion they both become very mainstream. They're both great. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, make sure you check out Toasty Bros, our main YouTube channel, and also Toasty Clips, and buy a PC from PCBros.tech. That's the building that we were circling around. You can come in person and purchase a PC too. See you guys later. Peace out.